Welcome to The Sober Unicorn. We are a gay-hosted, all-inclusive podcast about sobriety and addiction recovery for the LGBT plus community and all of our allies. I am your host, Holden, and thank you for joining us today. Well, hello, everybody. It's Holden back here again with The Sober Unicorn. I hope everybody's doing absolutely amazing today. If you're not, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Links are going to be in the bio regarding where you can contact us as well as our guests here today. So today we have a repeating guest, but it's going to be a little different. So Jaycee is from San Antonio. Her and I, we talked about her transition, her sobriety and recovery during, oh my God, can't remember what episode number it is, but you got to go find it. But today is my 1 year of clean time. So we kind of wanted to flip the script, and I invited her on to her be the host, me be the guest. So let her take the reins from me. And if there's any lagging, do apologize. We're testing the vidcasting out. This is the first episode. So we'll let Jaycee take over. Hello, Jaycee.
Well, hi, Holden. Happy 1 year.
Thank you, Queen.
How have you been?
You know what? Really good. I can complain and bitch and moan, but you know what? I am truly blessed and grateful where I'm at today.
I love that. I mean, we can always bitch and moan.
But what is it going to do for us?
Okay. So first, thank you for having me. Super honored to be here on your 1 year. It's kind of a big deal for those of us in recovery. 1 year seems like a fucking lifetime. And so, yeah, let's jump right into it.
All right, well, go ahead, girl. It's on you.
All right, girl. I've never been on this side of the camera, girl. So, how'd you do it?
Well, I didn't use drugs. No, I'm kidding.
Duh.
That's the easy statement. To be honest, like this time around, I mean, as many of the listeners know, I struggled with relapsing last year in Texas. And like, I was actually honestly about to move back to San Antonio. I was like, me and you were talking about like meetings and where to go and like what areas of town like had good, decent halfways. I even went down there and toured a halfway, but I always tended to like do things to please other people. I mean, moving back to San Antonio was going to be to appease my mother. And I was, of course, getting high. And I was like, what does Holden want to do? And Holden didn't want to live in Texas anymore. And so I made the decision, of course, to move down here to Florida, Fort Lauderdale area to be specific. And I was getting high up until the day I left. So crazy enough, even like during my drive down here, I had an empty meth pipe, an empty meth bag, everything in a safe in my car.
Oh my!
Because I didn't know what to do with it. Because like normally after I was done smoking, I would like crazy enough, I would put in a Ziploc, hot water, shatter it into pieces, shake it up so like nobody could get my fingerprints off of it, take it to a dumpster and sprinkle it around so nobody could like piece it together. But of course, I was living in a house with roommates that were like very specific about me not using drugs in the house. I was like, okay, can't get rid of it. Let's take it with me. And like every rest stop I stopped at, I was like too scared to like take it out of my car. So it was like up until like a week and a half later, I finally was like at a gas station. I pulled my gun out of my car, smashed the pipe, dumped it in the fucking gas station trash can. But like, so I came here to Florida and like honestly dove headfirst into recovery. I know you're not a meeting person. You're not like a 12-stepper. But I am, which is totally okay. I mean, anybody listening, we all know that there's multitude of ways to get clean and sober. So no matter which venue you take, the end goal is the same: to live a better life, not be high. And so I just dove like headfirst in recovery. I moved into halfway for number one because I can't afford Florida rent because it's expensive out here, and number two is for that accountability.
Yeah, the accountability is the biggest part. And good job, good job getting rid of the bag, girl. It took you a week.
Well, I mean, it was empty. There was nothing in it.
Yeah, girl, but traveling across state lines, girl, with all that, you are wild, wild.
It was in my
Yeah,
safe.
we are the same person. I would have done the same shit. But that's what's crazy is like they say when you do finally get sober, like decide to get sober for yourself, like they say you got to change people, places, things, and situations if you're truly doing it for yourself. And so, good job.
Yeah, and the thing is, a lot of people I hear, they're like, oh, I tried the geographical location thing and I took the biggest problem with me, which is myself. Don't get me wrong, that is very true. Just because a geographical location change does not mean that you're going to automatically be like, ooh, I'm sober now and everything goes away. Um, but for me, it was like once in my life making a decision for myself and not going back. I mean, if anybody has picked up my book on Amazon called Holding It Down, apostrophe N, um, they'll see that like when I chose to move here, I packed my Kia Soul with a few items and just started the drive. I had no job lined up, really no housing lined up, nothing. And I mean, Saturday technically is 1 year that I've been in Florida, and I've somehow, some way, by the grace of God or higher power or Allah or universe, like I've survived, thankfully.
Well, it's definitely credit to God. I mean, and yourself. Like we don't do this shit alone. You know.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I'm super proud of you. Although I was so blown by, I was like, wait, I thought he was moving to San Antonio, and the next thing I know, this thing's on our way to Florida, and I was like, oh my god, what is happening right now?
I
Well,
know.
Fort
I
Lauderdale's great.
There's somebody else I cannot. I think it was Justice. She's a local drag queen.
Yeah, of course.
I was talking to her because she was probably going to be my sponsor going into San Antonio. We were like talking, and we were so excited, and we met at the Big D Roundup in Dallas, and then she's like the same thing. She's like, hello, what the hell just happened? She's
Yes,
like, you were
girl.
just in San Antonio touring a house, and now a week later you're on the way to Florida.
Yeah. So that leads me to what led you to Fort Lauderdale? Like, what was that driving factor?
Okay, so this is gonna be a little selfish. No, I'm kidding. Everything's selfish, but all right. So I visited here a few times. The first few times was for a man that I was talking to online. It didn't really work out romantically with him and I. Sexually, it did. So I would fly down here literally to have a rompous weekend of sex. Um, and with the last time I flew down here, I actually relapsed in while here, and during a hookup, dude pulled out a meth pipe, and I was like, "Well, fuck it, let's do the damn thing."
I'm already
And
good. Yeah, might as well. I'm
I
with
mean,
that.
I was only like a month sober at the time, again from another relapse. So, um, but when we used to go to bars, like we'd go to the gym bar and stuff like that down here. Me being a big girl, like not a lot of people tried to hit me up on Grinder and Scruff and all these apps. So, but when I go out, and I've never really been hit on the Annex, the Silver Dollar in San Antonio, all these places, never once have I been flirted with. But I come here to Fort Lauderdale to the gym bar or Hunters, and like, let me tell ya, it's big boy season down here. And I've been single 7 years. And so it's like, I thought maybe me moving here would heighten my chances of finding a partner. Well, I mean, we're a year in and still single, but that's okay. Um, but I was like, they're a lot more big boy friendly that I found. And but what's funny now that I live here and have dove straight into recovery, I've been to the bars twice. Once, like the first night I moved here, and then Halloween. I went to Wicked Wilton, but I went to Wicked Wilton. Let me tell you, baby, like I had like four dudes trying to try to take me home that were like stunning, and it's I'm so not used to that because of course I hate myself. I hate like not anymore, but like I used to always be self-loathing and hatred towards my body and who I was and everything. So I come here and I'm like being celebrated and like my size and everything's good. And so yeah, so I mean I chose Fort Lauderdale in hopes to find a man.
But instead, you found recovery. How about that?
Yes. And let me tell you, Gold Coast Recovery, which is the area that I'm in, is fucking crazy.
Like
Like,
in a good way and a bad way.
yes,
Like
yeah,
that
like
shit crazy.
we have convention galore. And let me tell you, like almost I would say at least one weekend out of the month there's some type of bingo, barbecue, beach bash, just kind of like fellowshipping, just hanging out. Like sometimes there's not even a speaker there. It's just about people in recovery getting together to have a good time. There's um like several conventions throughout the year. I've never seen a city, like one city, hold so many different conventions. Um, as well as like I go into a meeting and like I'm not knocking DFW scene by any means. But like if 25 people turned up for a meeting, we were like, "Oh my god, that was such a great like turnout for a meeting." Here, Queen, we get like 50 people and we're like, "Oh, that was kind of a small meeting, wasn't it?" Like I've been to a meeting here one time, there was over 200 people and it was just a
What?
normal weekday meeting.
200
Yeah.
people? Damn.
And so there's which also means there's a lot of drugs here, but but the thing is you could tell that like and the people in our I mean at least NA down here for me, they're like they just want to have a good time, they want to laugh, they want to live their life. At the end of the day, recovery is to give us our life back, and they don't want to live in the four walls of a meeting.
Right.
Yes, that is a staple of course of NA, but like they also want to show people that like we have a good old time. We can still party. We just don't need to snort it.
Correct. Correct. You can be sober in recovery and still have fun. I think if there wasn't any fun in it, I don't think I would be doing it. Just plain and simple.
Exactly, exactly. Because
Because
getting high was fun until it wasn't.
correct, correct. And then it was too fun.
Yeah, exactly.
So let me ask you, what about this last year has been different than your previous attempts at getting sober, other than moving
Cutting
to Florida?
cutting a hoe off, cutting everybody off. So um I have recently learned like I recently cut my sister off. My thing is if you are not here for me, like I'm not saying that in a way that you have to like be by my side and be like, yes, go, go, go. But it's like if you're gonna be there consistently to tear me down, then why are you a part of my life? Like I released a book that has two men making out on the cover. Okay, it is a recovery book, and I'm gay, and there's a lot of gay sex in there. So I kind of wanted to forewarn the reader what was what they were in store for. And like I sent my sister the book cover, and like her first response was, "Ugh, that's really your cover? Like you needed to put two men making," and I'm like, "Girl, really? Like it's a memoir of sex recovery, of sex addiction and recovery." But again, and no fault to her in the way she chooses to live her life. I mean, she has a beautiful family and stuff. But me, it's making sure that like if I go on Grinder, like I went on Grinder, hooked up with somebody, and like I saw meth paraphernalia at their home. And so when I left the house, I made sure, okay, that is somebody I do not need a part of my life. Um, so making sure I keep people in my life that want to see me stay sober and will support that venue of life. Like I would say 98% of my friends here are either in recovery or just don't partake.
Right. And we attract those that we want to be around, you know.
Yes.
And so, like, kudos to you for cutting ties with those that no longer serve you.
Hmm.
Like, and cutting family out is probably one of the hardest things I have ever done. But if they're not serving who I am in this moment,
Girl,
toodles.
bye. Yeah,
Girl,
exactly.
bye.
And the thing is, I mean, you've had to endure this yourself. I mean, coming out as gay is one thing in a family to come to accept that. Drug addict to a completely different scenario, and then transgender a completely different scenario. I mean,
Ooh,
it's like, baby, it's like they'll accept you sucking a dick and fucking snort some meth, but heaven forbid you want to live your true identity.
right. And or doing porn in Fort Lauderdale.
There's so much porn happening here.
I
OnlyFans
know, girl.
hashtag.
I was discovered in Fort Lauderdale. I'm aware. So, in the past year, what do you think has been your greatest challenge other than not getting high?
Girl, making money. Let me tell you. Fort Lauderdale is extremely expensive. I honestly feel Fort Lauderdale is overtaking New York with being expensive. Like
Jesus.
purchasing New York is way more in Manhattan, of course, but like renting, um, I mean, I could go to the Bronx and find a one bedroom apartment for $900, but here, oh my god, I was looking at a super ghetto one bedroom apartment. It was like 400 square foot. They wanted 1,700.
What?
I was looking at a decent apartment, somewhat close to Wilton Manors, which of course is going to be a little higher. It was 480 square foot or something like that. They wanted 4,800. I
Girl?
This is not New York City. This is not Los Angeles. This is fucking Florida.
Fort Lauderdale, nonetheless.
Exactly. This ain't even Miami Beach, bitch.
No,
And so,
girl.
I mean, beyond that, like that's a monetary thing. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm saving money in halfway, and I'm very happy. Like, I live in a very nice halfway, for very cheap. Um, never had any issues, but um, I would say the hardest thing for me is navigating the dating hookup scene here. I'm not really one to hook up, but we all have our weaknesses. Um, and drugs are very rampant within the community here. I mean, you go to Ramrod here or the Eagle, and you can see people doing booty bumps in the back before they're bending over for everybody. And sex here, even though it's illegal to do in the bar, it's still being done.
God, I don't miss those days.
No, I don't either.
No, girl. Just be just tooted, girl. Just high as kites.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate. It's like I work in treatment, and all my coworkers tell me like, yeah, man, if I ever needed to score, especially that good shit, they're like, you go straight to Wilton Manors.
Yeah, girl. The primo. Top shelf.
Exactly.
Well, I'm glad you're doing great.
Thank you.
So, in the past year, what have you discovered or learned about yourself that you did not know?
Oh my god, girl, you hit these with these hard questions. Um, Honestly, that what other people think of me is none of my fucking business.
Boom.
Um, I have been a big girl. Okay, I got titties to prove it. My whole life, and I at one point I became like obsessed with weight loss, and I lost over 100 pounds, and it was like I was in the gym 24/7, and it was like it was never enough. Of course, relationships and years go by, and she thick again. But it's okay. Like if I go to the beach and Miss Karen down the street got a problem with me being big girl, like shirtless on the beach, that's a her problem. That's not a me problem. Because
Okay,
guess
that's a
what?
Karen problem.
I'm on the beach. I'm enjoying myself. I'm not getting no tan lines having to wear a t-shirt on the beach. Um, so I think the biggest thing I've learned is like what other people think of me, what other judgments they may pass on me because of either my size, the way I choose to live my life, my sexuality, my addiction history. Um, that's not my business because I released, of course, a book that has a lot of detail about what I did during sexual acts while high. I wanted to highlight the dangers I was willing to put myself in either to get the drug or because I had the drug. And they're like, aren't you worried about putting yourself out there like that? Well, why would I be worried? I lived that life.
Yeah, I've already
Like,
survived.
if you want to judge me for it, like, go for it because what I did 2 years ago while smoking some meth is a lot different of a person than I am right now sitting in front of you. So, I think, yeah, that's what I've learned the most. It's like whatever the people think of me is none of my fucking business.
Girl, that was the hardest pill for me to swallow because I used to think everybody's opinion of me mattered.
And
It took,
girl, we're gay. We should know how to swallow.
girl, you one would think, one would think, but girl, I would be making up movies about, oh, they probably think this, and girl, you didn't know no better, you think I was a movie producer.
So we'll flip the question to you. So, what in your recovery? What is the one thing, like the biggest lesson you've learned about yourself?
Oh God. Um. Hmm. The biggest thing that I have learned in my journey is the only thing I am responsible for is how I react,
Mm,
and I don't always have to react.
that is very
And that's
true.
been my biggest lesson in 3.5 years. Is like things are gonna piss me off. Something is gonna set on my buttons or lay on the whole damn keyboard for that matter. But it's up to me to not give my peace away, and it's up to me to not react. But sometimes I react. I'm a human.
That's okay. We're human.
Sometimes I want to cut a bitch, and that's okay. I don't, but it's up to me as to how quick I react or how
Hmm.
big I react.
Oh, 100%.
So,
It's that's the only. I think that's the only thing everybody talks about, free will or self will. Self will riot. The one thing we have control over is our reaction to things. That's the only thing.
girl, girl. And I have to remind myself every time I get pissed off, it's like, okay, pause. Let me get right.
Hmm.
Let me get right so I don't act crazy.
Because most of the time, the things we were gonna act crazy about, like an hour later, we're like, that wasn't shit.
Girl, oh my God, I was literally having a conversation earlier today about something that happened 2, 3 months ago. And I was like, oh my God, I was so dramatic. But I've grown in 3 months.
I always people are like, you're so dramatic. I'm like, yeah, it's in my rainbow blood.
Yeah, girl, it's part of the DNA. So, I want to know. Obviously, you published a book, Holding It Down.
Hmm.
What inspired you to write and release this book
Ooh,
in your first
child.
year?
Okay, without going into too much detail, because I want to do a whole episode about the book, but we'll see. Um, so the thing is, when like even with the podcast, when I stepped into recovery and I was seeking out podcasts, gay podcasts, because the thing is, there are certain experiences that we have as gay or LGBTQIA plus individuals that nobody else shares with us. And so I wanted to find a podcast that I could relate to. And the one that I found, not going to name that name. I can't stand it. Can't stand that podcast. Um, but I didn't relate to it. They were very anti 12 step. They were Cali sober, no judgment. Um, but it was just two friends kiki kakaing. And so I was like, okay, let's start a podcast that I bring everybody on. Any walk of life. I've had straight people, I've had gay people, I've had trans people, I've had non-binary. Like everybody has a story to share. Yes, I try to keep this podcast mostly gay, with the guests, but I will never deny somebody an opportunity to share their story. So fast forward to the book. When it comes to literature that is geared towards a gay person and their experiences, meth sex culture is taking over the gays horribly. It is killing a lot of people, and the thing is like it's I don't feel it's being discussed enough. And so when I look for these books, I think I found one, maybe two books that even like nearly related to the meth sex culture of the gay community. And so I was like, well, fuck it. Like, I don't think there's enough literature. So why don't I just put another piece out there? And maybe me doing it will, the next gay person may do it, the next gay person may do it. And then hopefully in 5 to 10 years, we will have a collective of books that these young gays can purchase and not have such limitations, because my story is not going to be the same as theirs, but maybe the third person that writes a book will be. So it's just about putting more out there. Like, yes, there's a lot more in that book than I anticipated in putting, but there's so much more that I didn't put because I will be releasing a sequel to that one. I want to wait till I'm like 2 years clean to write that one, because I want it to be more about recovery and like self discovery journey. Um, but yeah, I think it's just about putting more out there for other LGBT people, because I just, for literature, for quit lit, I just don't think that there's enough.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever looked for. Well, one, I don't read, so
I hate reading.
um, but it's not something that's very openly talked about. You know, the whole because you're right, meth is so predominant in the gay community, and it's just a way of living for those of us who party
Hmm.
or used to party. You know, and so there is such a need for it because people aren't going to know if we don't talk about it.
Hmm.
And then that's how we continue to
Or the
create.
community is just going to continue to normalize it.
Right.
It's so, it's crazy to me to go on Grinder. I don't do it anymore because it's very dangerous for me, but to go on Grinder and see the amount of profiles that are advertising with their face photo and advertising in their bio that they are meth smokers. Like, it seems, and like seeing a profile like that on Grinder is completely normal today. And I don't think that the meth scene should be normalized.
No, this should be normalized.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think you and I are both well on our way to making that difference because we're not ashamed to talk about it. Because if we don't
Exactly.
talk about it, nobody's going to know. You
Yeah.
know, someone asked me that yesterday, like, because I'm very open about my journey with AIDS and HIV and being trans and an addict. And yesterday I did a commercial for another organization. And afterwards they were like, how do you find the courage to talk about it? And it's simple. I've already survived everything that's happened in my life. And someone somewhere in this world is literally walking through what I've already walked through. And they're going to come to a point, and it's the same for you, like someone's going to come to a point in their young gay life and they're going to be like, how the fuck do I get out of this? I feel fucking trapped. And then they're going to see people like you and I who are so vulnerable and raw and open and honest. And they're going to be like, okay, if they can do it, I can do it, you know?
Yeah. I mean, same thing with like gay pride. Okay, we want to be so proud of our sexuality, but why? I mean, don't be wrong. Yes, sexuality is a thing to be proud of, but why not be proud of the successes that we've had and the hurdles that we've had to overcome? Um, like recovery, getting over meth addiction, heroin addiction, even alcoholism. Like that is not easy, and it's not easy to keep that recovery. Like alcohol, like I always say, the gay community is sponsored by Absolute Vodka,
Totally.
and everywhere we turn, there's alcohol in front of us, and it's like, so I think if we're able to overcome that, 100%, it should be fucking celebrated, 100%.
Yes. Yes. Girl, I didn't think I was ever going to get out of it, girl.
It's hard. I mean, it's I meth. I knew I would. Oh no, I didn't know shit. I,
We thought we knew
I thought I could set it down. I was like, I was a weekend warrior for such a long time with meth until the
until you
last
weren't.
relapse. Yeah, until the last relapse when I had myself locked in a bedroom, getting high because I had to, because my body was like, bitch, you need the drug. Alcohol, man, I never thought. Like, I hated people that drank. I loathed being around people that drank. And then I found spa camaraderie. And like, I went from like, so my alcoholism years was about 5-ish years. And I mean, but it went from a beer to 2 beers to $120 a night at the bar within like a couple weeks. I mean, I was at the end, I was drinking like half a handle to a full handle of Jameson a day. And I'm like, I never thought that I would be able to stop drinking. I mean, in alcohol, so today I'm a year clean of everything. But alcohol, it's been 2 years over. And to me, being off of alcohol for more than 2 years is more surprising to me than being
Girl,
off of meth for a year.
girl, let me tell you, girl, I'm an alcoholic, so I get it. And it's a fucking victory that I can go to the gas station every day, that I can go to the grocery store every day, that I can go out to eat and still not drink. That is fucking mind blowing to me.
But you know the one thing. Okay, what is the one thing you've noticed that's different when you go out to eat and don't drink? Once I say it, you're gonna be like, "Holy shit!"
well, one, the amount of money I save.
There we go.
And I can remember what the fuck I ate the next morning because it's not in the toilet.
Well, the biggest thing, I was like, I went to dinner for the first time. It was like a somewhat nicer of a restaurant or something like that. My bill hit the table and I was like, that's it? Like, seeing how cheap your dinner bills are when you're not drinking $6, $7, $13 drinks.
Yes, with ×6.
Yes, I was like, oh, this, like, I went to a sushi dinner the other night. I had this fucking massive sushi plate, got extra this, extra that, this on the side, and my bill for 2 people was like $94. I was like, this ain't shit for dinner for 2 people.
Yeah, this is great. I know. I have to remind myself, okay, you're saving money and you're staying sober.
Yeah, saving money. I see them nails. That's where that money is.
You already know.
Well, my money's like, I will tell you, like, a tattoo. Oh my God. Be careful, y'all. Anybody listening, you're going to trade one addiction for another. Just make sure, whether it's your nails, your hair, your makeup, your tattoos, just make sure they cute.
Girl, I already know I have this whole arm almost done at this point. That's happened since I last saw you.
This happened like a week ago.
Yeah, girl, I'm about it.
And anyways, and not just, okay, you know what? And don't settle, y'all. So know your worth, because this is the thing with the hand tattoo. I've always been in jobs that do not allow tattoos on the hand, neck, so on. But now, like, through recovery, I've learned like what I'm worth and what my value is, and it's like I purposely got like both sides of my neck done, my hand done, to sit there and say, you know what? You can't get a job now that won't allow you to be who you are. So I made sure to do things that now, like, I've always wanted a hand tattoo, and I've always allowed like companies and other people to decide things for me. Again, I had to get sober for myself. I had to make this moving decision for myself. Like, if you ever try to get sober for somebody else, it's never going to work. You have to do it for yourself in order for it to come to a fruition and actually fucking stick. And I think that was the biggest difference this time around, was I did it for myself.
You know, honestly, that's the only way I got sober. I was like, you know what? Only I can change this. So life is great right now.
Exactly. So before we come to a close of the episode, is there anything that you would like to share that we haven't already discussed?
I mean, I don't really know. I mean, since I last saw you, I have dated. I was in a 4-month relationship. That was great. Taught me so much about myself. I'm getting ready to start the whole like top surgery process.
Hell yeah.
So, and I'm just doing what I do, girl, living in purpose.
That's amazing. And of course, if anybody wants to reach out to you and just speak with you more about maybe your journey and what you've gone through, where can they find you?
On Instagram at official JCK.
Awesome. Thank you again for listening to today's episode. Hit that follow button to be notified about new episodes every week. If you'd like to reach out to us, you can find us on Instagram at The Sober Unicorn Podcast, or on our website at thesoberunicornpodcast.com. There you will find our episodes, as well as our very own sober-owned shop, featuring products from small businesses that are sober-owned. And remember, everyone, don't be normal, be a unicorn, but better yet, be a sober unicorn.